Good afternoon, and welcome to another live edition of Wealth Building Wednesday. Today, we're going to have an amazing show. Want to just first thank you for tuning in to another live broadcast. Wealth Building Wednesday is brought to you by TRHT Selma. TRHT stands for Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation. We are an initiative that exists in Selma, initially funded by the W.K. Kellogg Foundation, and we are a partnership between the Black Belt Community Foundation and the Selma Center for Nonviolence, Truth, and Reconciliation. Every single Wednesday, we try to put the information where the goats can get it, honey. So today is like every other broadcast, except we have an expert in the room who happens to be an attorney who was born and reared right here in the historic city of Selma and has chosen to bring her practice back to our community. And she is practicing all across the Black Belt of Alabama. Welcome, Attorney Kameisha Logan.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here to share at least some of the knowledge I have and hoping that, whatever I say, can help the next person.
Absolutely. And so we're delighted to have you here. And we want to make sure that folks understand that this is not, you're not giving legal advice. We are simply going to be asking questions, general questions about the law. Particularly, we're going to focus on why you became an attorney and the type of law that you practice, which is criminal law. But we'll dive into some other little things because the law, whether we like it or not, crosses over a multitude of things in our day-to-day lives. So we do just want to make sure that folks are aware that we are not issuing legal advice. If you need that, then you need to call her law firm and book an appointment. Okay.
That's right.
So, yeah. Attorney Logan, you were born and reared right here in Selma. You are a graduate of Selma High School and you matriculated to earn your degrees and wanted to find out what inspired you to become an attorney.
I get that question a whole lot. So my dream, I always wanted to become an attorney. I think one thing that really shaped it for me was in the ninth grade, I went to EJI, which is the Equal Justice Initiative, and I saw, a lot of people who were wrongfully accused, who were given life sentence, sometimes even sentenced to death, and I just felt like just a burning sensation in me. So I'm like, this is something that I really want to focus on, and I want to focus on reform work because I didn't feel that it was like I said, it initiated a fire in me. It was not hearing the stories and seeing how people were gravely mistreated by the justice system. I knew that I had to join the fight to make sure that nobody else has to go through that.
So now that's an amazing tribute to the importance, one, of exposure. Right. Because when we think about all of the great things, and you and I both reside in Selma. Currently, we both came back home, right, to do the work that we're called to do. And when we think about all of the things that we had the opportunity to share in as young people, right, like I'm a generation ahead of you, but but we were able to like take field trips and see things that in our exposed us to things that would allow us to explore career fields like becoming an attorney. And so what a testament to the fact that exposure can actually help us in making those decisions. So now, one of the most popular shows when we were growing up, I know when I was growing up, was the Cosby Show. And on that show, there was the wife who was an attorney, and they lived a lifestyle that was very upper middle class. So now I know one of the things that when we were growing up, folks talked about being doctors and lawyers because they wanted to make their money.
Well, they say it's all about the Benjamins, baby.
Yes. So what is it like just starting out? Because you have chosen to start your own firm as opposed to becoming a public defense attorney or becoming a part of a corporate law firm or what have you. So what is it like when you're just starting out as an attorney?
And honestly, I'm going to be honest with you, it is hard. I tell people all the time, they teach you how to practice law in law school. They don't teach you how to run a business.
Mm,
Run the business. Practicing law is not the hard part. It's running the business.
okay.
But the thing about that is you have to also, like I said, to invest in yourself. You have to get mentors. You have to also find different programs that can teach you the skill that you don't know. And people always ask me as well, like, why you want your own law firm? That's just always been my dream. But I end up watching Ben Crump. He had a series on Netflix talking about his life. And what he said, I'm like, that's it. He was wondering why out of law school, him and he had a partner, they went and opened up their own law firm. And
Mhm.
they did that because they knew that nobody else would fund their mission.
Wow.
I'm on a mission. And I
Okay.
know that the mission and the purpose that God has put me on this earth, nobody will fund it. So I am literally what they say, I'm starting from scratch.
Okay.
And thank God along my journey of opening my law firm is a testimony within itself. And so I won't dive into that because if you see the way God has orchestrated things in my path, you know
Yeah.
that I'm on a mission. And so I know that working for someone else or doing anything else, I'm only helping them, but I need to like build my law firm so that my law firm can fund my mission. Like I tell people what I do, I advocate for the accused so that they're not mistreated by the justice system. And
Hmm.
so part of that being a defense attorney, and also part of being a change and trying to do reform work, I know that I'm going to build my firm so that it could fund my mission.
Okay. And so now, what are the aspects of life? And I mentioned that in the intro that the law crosses over a whole lot, like a multitude.
Mm,
Almost every aspect of our life has something
yeah.
to do with the law. So, why are attorneys important in our day to day lives?
You know what? Every single thing that you do,
Mhm.
every single occupation, a lawyer needs a lawyer. So everybody needs a lawyer. You know what I'm saying? And so it's so many different parts and so many different areas of the law where you need a lawyer. Especially when it comes to contracts, any little
Okay.
thing like a comma, any little thing can just change anything around. So you need someone who has those trained eyes, someone who has been trained, a critical thinker, in order to look at that. Because again, we know what the law say. We don't want you to go to court and say you don't know, because ignorance of a law is not a defense. So
Okay.
having someone who could know that area, know the ins and outs, and an expert in that area, I think, like I said, everyone needs a lawyer. Your doctors need a lawyer. You have malpractice. Lawyers, like I said,
Mhm.
malpractice. You have all that stuff where everybody needs a lawyer, because if something goes wrong, you need a lawyer.
So now, since we all need lawyers, you actually are an attorney who specializes in criminal defense.
Correct.
And so when it comes to criminal defense, what are what does that actually mean? Because we hear these terms tossed around all the time. But what
Mhm.
does that actually mean?
So, so what it means basically, when you look at criminal defense, you're looking at someone who is representing someone who has been charged with a crime, a criminal crime. That can be a misdemeanor and a felony. They could be, possibly go to jail, pay fines. So they need someone to advocate for them. And that's why I tell people all the time, I advocate for the accused so that they are not mistreated by the justice system. I'm pretty sure we have heard plenty of numerous of stories of people who went through the justice system and they got the shorter end of the stick because they didn't have
Mhm.
someone fighting for them, or they didn't know, they went there probably trying to defend themselves. So I just want to make sure that every person that I come in contact with, for one, I'm going to treat them like I would want somebody to treat me if I was, if we were sitting on opposite sides of the table. I'm also going to make sure that their rights that the Constitution has granted them are not violated, and that, like I tell people, you have to get the right person the right way. And if I'm defending you, if they're gonna I'm gonna make sure that all their T's are crossed and all their I's are dotted.
And so now, when I think about how you defined a criminal defense attorney and what your role is in making sure that we are advocated for, should we ever be accused of a criminal offense, right?
Right.
So, what's are there offenses that we can be accused of that aren't criminal? That's one question, and then I have a follow up to your.
Okay, so if you are accused of a crime, that's criminal. It's you have civil and you have criminal. Civil is when you like a lawsuit. You want to sue somebody. Criminal is when someone is actually facing jail time. There's they can pay fines and fees, but this is actually when someone is their liberty is at stake. When we're talking about criminal. But if you want to sue someone, that's a totally different division.
Okay. Okay. So now when it comes though to criminal defense, and you said that beyond fines, the the determination could actually cause a person to go behind bars, to be
Yes.
locked up for whether it is a couple of months or a couple of years. What are the things that you could recommend to families, right, that may be facing time ahead, right? They have a loved one who has been accused and convicted of committing a crime. What can families do? I know that this is Wealth Building Wednesday, and sometimes those folks who go behind bars are the breadwinners, are the people who
Right.
have been responsible for the household. So, what are some things that families can do while a loved one is incarcerated?
So I would say the biggest thing I would say is support.
Mm,
Nobody knows what they are dealing with behind those walls. Like I tell everyone, it is a different world behind those walls. The freedom that the stuff that we take advantage of, into, walking out all free, they don't
yeah.
have that same advantage. So the biggest thing you can do for honestly for them is be supportive. It's nothing like being somewhere isolated and you have no one to turn to. And especially just imagine how they would feel. I took care of everyone else. I was the breadwinner. And now that my back is against the wall, I have nobody else to depend on. A lot of times they go through depression in there, anxiety in there. And I'm pretty sure that we
Mm.
see a lot of people who go to jail, they come out worse than what they went in because they're dealing with now mental health issues because they've seen a lot. So I think the biggest thing is to make sure you're being supportive of them. At the end of the day, yes, they're there, you're innocent until proven guilty, but at the same time, that does not mean that they do not need support. And I think my whole thing, I look at it, I'd rather be, support you than get a phone call saying that you're no longer here because something happened or you felt that you were along in this whole process. So make sure that you support them. Make sure that you keep in contact. Like I said, keep in contact with their attorneys. The attorneys are the middle point between the client and the court system. So keep them up to date on what's going on as well. Just make sure that whatever is going on through the process, that you are, if you're in touch with the lawyer and you also supporting, your loved one that is incarcerated because they need it more than ever.
So now, when you say support, what does that actually look like? Because we hear people say, "Put money on my
Mhm.
books," right? Or you hear it in movies or what have you. So, like, what is that? What does support actually look like outside of communicating with an attorney?
So of course, support is monetary, of course. But I know that sometimes everyone does not, especially your breadwinner is in, now you're trying to figure out how you're going to maintain, life without them being, available to help you. So even if you cannot support financially, at least going to a visit, it's nothing like, seeing other people, that's incarcerated that, they have a visit. Meanwhile, nobody's there coming to visit you. Also to phone calls,
Mm.
sometimes they just probably need you. You have no idea how big someone just talking to you will uplift their spirit because they know that they have that support, and it could be the only thing they have to lean on to. So I would just say, if you can't, of course, support is always monetary. They need money, they need money to buy things, phone calls. But if you can't do that, support just does not stop at monetary. Again, we're talking about visits and phone calls, just showing that you're there.
So what about with children? Right. I know that Dallas County, here in the state of Alabama, we have a very unique program that's working through being able to connect families and actually help folks not leave their families.
Hmm.
But what about families and children though, who may be impacted by having a family member, perhaps a parent who is incarcerated? Like, what are the things that families can do, like the adults and the family can do, to help children understand and cope with with the reality of what's happening?
So I would honestly say therapy. And the reason why I say that is because everyone handles situations different. Now,
Mhm.
especially we're talking about a child who has this all they know, like this is their parent, and now their parent is gone. That's a grief. They're grieving because even though you're not, you're not dead, you're not there physically. They have limitations on, when they talk to you, when they see you, and also too, some babies they go see their parents, while they are incarcerated. That too can have a mental play on them as well because they're seeing them in prison uniform. They're probably shackled. They're in the visiting area, no touching, and they can only see them for a limited amount of time versus just waking up, going to that parent. It plays a lot on the kids, and you will see too. And I'm pretty sure you have seen as well too. A lot of kids who have parents that are incarcerated, they sometimes become a part of the system as well because it's a cry for help. So I think honestly, truth be told, um, I'm always for shielding the babies. I'm always for not causing extra stress on the kids that they do not need. So my biggest thing, if some parents have their kids involved in the whole process. If you're gonna have your kids in the whole process, I think you should get your kids some therapy because there's gonna be a lot to deal with. I mean, a lot. It's a lot for us as adults. So just imagine as a child, what's that like seeing your parent behind bars or not being able to talk to your parent when you want to, or also look at it like, they have donuts with dads, muffins with mom,
Mhm.
and
And you're not
everybody
there.
else have their parents there, and you're hearing people probably like, where's your dad? Where's your mom? And they
Mhm.
could also now we talking about bullying because they may say, talk about them because what their parents did. So now the kids are suffering for, what, their parents' mistakes. So I really think the biggest thing, shield our babies, but if not, get them some therapy, someone that they can talk to and let out how they're feeling. Or if not, make sure that whoever is the caregiver, they are a safe place for the child to be able to talk and not hold that in because it is a lot.
So now you brought up. Listen, I'm a strong advocate for therapy, for counseling, and for folks seeking the help that's really needed. Like sometimes we just need a safe place, like you said, to land, a safe place to let it out. Want to ask you about what safe places or what do you recommend for families as people are coming home? Right, the focus that we have is about building wealth and going behind bars, being incarcerated can severely stunt any type of economic
Mm-hmm.
opportunity. And for a lot of folks, it becomes a cycle of going in and out of because folks don't have the opportunities or don't have that support. So, what are the things that families can do to support folks or to prepare even as loved ones return home from incarceration?
And you know what? That is a very, very good question. And that's one thing I'm glad you talked about that because that's one thing too that I want to work, like, especially with the reform work that I plan to do. That's one thing I want to hit on because we see that the recidivism rate is so high, which means
Mhm.
the people who are coming out of prison, we're seeing them go back. It's high. And you have to think to yourself why. And that's because a lot of people, when they are incarcerated, when they come out, they have a stigma on them. You know, some people don't want to hire them.
Mhm.
It's hard to, if you have a family that you have to provide for, that you are the main breadwinner, and you coming out and you only making minimum wage, and you have a wife and kids at home. Sometimes they're going to go to what they're used to. So you have to look at, hey, am I going to like put food on the table, or am I going to just, so you have to weigh those options. But I do think that, again, family support is going to be the biggest because they're coming from being locked up, incarcerated to now being free in the free world. Things change. Like look how now we're dealing with AI and all that. So when they
Mhm.
come out, it's a different world. Some people may not even know how to use a cell phone. So it's a bit culture shock to them. So you just have to be patient. And I do think, again, I'm gonna go
Mhm.
back to therapy. I think
Mhm.
therapy will be a good thing to help them with the transitioning. Because even though sometimes these programs are offered, inside of the penitentiary, it sometimes is not effective. And I'm just being honest, it's not.
Mhm.
So I think one thing they really could do is, have some resources when they come out, have some resources or job listings that, will also that will hire a convicted felon. That will hire someone who has been incarcerated. So having that information, get them to the right people. Because like I tell people, it's good to know people. It's good
Mm-hmm.
to know people because you're able to get a lot of information that you may not be privy to, but for you knowing this person. So, like I said, get like a listing of people that are hiring. I know sometimes I see it on Facebook, and I also give my clients like a list of places that are hiring that will hire people who have been incarcerated.
Mm-hmm.
Get them some programs. Get them to like, say, hey, Wallace, they have welding, they have all that type of stuff. So get information so when they come out, they can apply. So now they can go traveling well, and they're making a lot of money, seeing the world. They may can go out and do HVAC. So it's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of things that they can do, and a lot of things the family can do is already start the wheels turning. Like your family members getting out soon. Already start the ball rolling. So when they get out, we're not just picking it up now, we're just keeping going. Like, I got this information. Now you out. We can feel it. We can feel it. Feel it in, feel it out. However, so I think just be proactive. When they get out, they're gonna need a job. They're gonna need something to do so that they won't go in. So be proactive.
So, what are there gaps that you have noticed in those type of services in our area? I know that you said that this is an issue that is close to your heart. So, are there gaps that community agencies? I'm just wondering how we as a community may need to work together differently as we form a net, if you will, to catch people who may be coming home and re-entering society.
So I think it is. I think one thing I think it is a gap, and I think one thing we can do is we can get. It would be so great to have a one-stop shop for people who coming home, because you got to realize this is so overwhelming for them. I mean, this is our norm because we're used to getting up doing what we want, but for them, they're just used to getting up, probably walking to the cell block, coming back. And so this is new. So I think a lot of things, I think we probably need like a one-stop shop where they can go and get, life skills. They can go help people. They can go get a resume. They can, people who, will help find them. Because you have to realize too, everybody don't have family. So everybody don't have someone being proactive and getting all this information for them. So we have these places that it's like a one stop. For instance, like let's use city blocks. You see how
Mhm.
city blocks is a one-stop shop. If they have somewhere like this, a one-stop shop for people who are being released from prison, I think that would help them because now they're not overwhelmed with, okay, I have to go to this place. Oh, well, I have to go to that place. They probably don't have a license. They probably know these, the places are. And again, now, like I said, they may be the only person they have. So having that available where they can just walk in the door and, hey, we can get you a resume. We can sign you up from life skill classes. We can help you go and apply to go to Wallace. We can help, apply to find jobs that you can get that can help you. We can go and take you to try to get a driver's license, all that stuff. And also too, programs like that can help people when the time comes. They can probably even get an expungement or get a pardon. Somewhere we can help. Get some kind of their rights restored. So I really think that we are missing that gap. I do think we have a lot of people that offer those services, but nobody knows
Mhm.
how to get in contact with
Ah,
them. And
mhm.
so I do think making that information available for people to know would be very beneficial. Again, for people who, of course, got family who's going to be proactive, and also for people who don't have family and just need someone to help them through this process.
So I want to thank you for bringing that up and making that, bringing that to the forefront, because it is so very true that we have a lot of resources in and around the Black Belt, but so often we work in silos, organizations work in silos,
Mhm.
people get in silos and in cliques, and we don't share that information. So if you aren't a part of that network, if you will, then the net just passes you by. It
Yes,
just keeps
yes.
moving to the next person, which impacts our
Mhm.
community in some astounding ways, and it creates a lot of harm. And so I want to thank you for raising that issue, and for perhaps sparking some ideas for folks who may want to put together
Yes.
a toolkit, if you will. Even if you don't have a facility, it would be nothing like, having, when you're coming home, here are the places that, just a list, right, of
Yeah.
places to get your GED, and places to look for jobs, and places who are willing to hire, like you said, habilitation
Mhm.
programs. Because sometimes it's not because if you rehabbing something, that means it was actually habilitated to begin with, it was taught to begin with. but some of our folks have not been taught to begin with. So habilitation programs and then rehabilitation programs, substance use programs. So yes, thank you so very much.
Yes, and what I wanted to also say, to anybody who's listening to this, and if they have any kind of or know any kind of organization that does that, please, they can send it to my office. I will do a packet together, so that we can have the information, because I do believe that if we as a community can tackle this, then we can make our city better. We can make our people better, and we can see our city thriving, more so than just hearing about us on the news for crimes. So I really believe we can come together and get the information. So if anybody have any information of anybody that's offer those services that I spoke about, please send it to me. I will give you my email, my contact number when we wrap up, so that you can send that to me. And I would love to have that as a resource, because one thing, like I tell people with my office, we hold our clients' hand. We don't just tell our clients, go out and do this. We're going to do it. We're going to make that appointment for them. We're going to make sure that we're going to fill that packet out for them. We're going to make sure that they have it done, because I'm pretty sure I'm used to this too. I'll say, yeah, I'm going to do it, and I forget. So I make sure that they don't forget, because we're gonna do it for them.
Yes.
So if you have the information, please give it to me, and I would greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm glad you said that. I have gone ahead and invited folks to drop that information in the chat. So if you are watching, if you're listening, if you know of a program, if you know of an opportunity and you have an address, a phone number, a name, a website, drop it in the comments, and we'd love to be able to share that information with Attorney Logan and others. And because of her hands-on approach with her clients, it will more than likely mean that these folks will have an opportunity to engage with some meaningful programs that can truly create change in their lives, because we want people to be made whole. Right.
Yes.
It's so interesting in our country, as we begin to wrap up. It is just so very interesting in our country how we think that separating someone from community is going to help them not repeat the same actions,
girl,
that put them behind bars. It's like, so the separation might actually have been the contributing factor to why, right? Like, if I don't feel like I'm supported, if I don't feel like I can get a job and maintain a job that I enjoy, if I haven't identified my own personal purpose, if I don't have access to the information to help me feel like I'm a good parent. Like, I could be a great parent, right? But if I don't feel like I'm a great parent, I don't have people affirming me in my role, then that can cause a lot of pain and anguish. And how people tend to enact those things, or manifest those things. It may be busting windows, stealing cars.
Lydia, I'm so sorry to cut you off, but
Go ahead.
I've been telling people for so long. I am not one of those people that say people don't need to go to jail. But right. I am the person, let's get to the root of the issue. Right. A lot of people that come into the criminal justice system have an underlying mental health issue or a drug issue. Mm-hmm. And so I do not think, if we're talking about somebody who's doing some petty like theft because they have a drug issue or something, throwing them in jail is not going to help. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, yes, we're going to get you clean, but we're not teaching you coping mechanisms. So when when you're stressed out, you may get a coping mechanism where you color. But we're not teaching that to stop it. But what we're doing is throwing you in jail. We're saying, yes, we do have programs inside the jail, but how effective are they? Right. So my whole thing is, let's get these people the treatment they need. And I feel like if we treat the condition, we'll see a decrease in crime rate.
Absolutely. So I want to thank you for your time today. I am so excited about your mission and the fact that you being an attorney is going to support your mission. I want to invite you to share your information. Like, if I am someone who wants to follow up with you in your role as an attorney, how can I get in touch with you?
Yes, so my law firm is K. Logan Law Firm. We are located at 429 Church Street in Selma, Alabama. The contact number is 334-526-1638. You can email us at info@kloganlawllc.com. So again, my address, I'm sorry.
I was about to say, go back through it, honey, because I'm dropping it in the comments.
So, K Logan Law Firm, we're at 429 Church Street, Selma, Alabama. My number is 334-526-1638. You can reach us via email at info@the letter K Logan Law LLC.com.
All right. So we are excited. Let me tell you, to watch you go forth and do great things, benefiting our community, helping people to get back on their feet, really defending us and being a real advocate for folks
Yes.
all across our community. So we are excited about all that you bring to the table, not just as an attorney, but as just as a woman in our community, a mother in our community, and a strong advocate, regardless of whether you are seated in front of a judge or not, that you are advocating for our community in a great way. So I want to thank you again for
Thank
joining
you.
us today, and we look forward to seeing you again. If you
Yes,
have been
thank you.
absolutely, if you've been watching this broadcast and any information you have found relevant, please make sure that you reach out to Attorney Logan. She is a great resource in our community. We've also dropped some gems and information in the comments, so affirm that by clicking the like button, that thumbs up, or that heart. And if you know somebody who needs this information, honey, please make sure you tag and share this video, because we are all about putting the information so people can get it. We talk transformation, we talk dollars, and we talk change right here on Wealth Building Wednesday. Until next Wednesday, y'all please get out here and try to start building some wealth.
Bye.